morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Today, we have the attendance question, instruction video. Agenda will be up in just a second. But what we're doing today is the Matchbox Car Lab. For today's star slide, in-person students will have their data table for the lab on today's blank slide, because today's star slide is blank. So there's a data table for today's lab. So in-person students are going to draw this on here. And then at-home students, copy and paste your data table from the Google Doc assignment today onto the blank slide. So everyone should have the data table on this slide at the end of the day, either by drawing it on or copying and pasting it on. All right, and then go through the slides for today. These are mostly for in-person students today. Okay, so this is what I meant. So copy information on star slides. At-home students, copy and paste this on here. And we're going to do the Matchbox Lab, and we're going to create a graph. So we're going to do another graph today. Then for the Matchbox Car Energy Lab. So in-person students will do this on paper. At-home students will use this Google Doc. So for my working at-home students today, the first off is you have a problem. Does changing the height of a starting point affect the distance a car will travel down a ramp? And then your hypothesis, or what you think. So I think, whatever it might be, I think that changing the height does affect, or doesn't affect, or might affect. So write down what you think the answer to our problem is. You have materials, so you're going to need 5 books or 5 things that you can stack, preferably about the same thickness, so it goes up by the same height each time. A board or piece of cardboard, hopefully about twice the length of your Chromebook. And so it doesn't have to be cardboard, it can be anything. It could be a cereal box, 2 cereal boxes next to each other, or anything else that's just kind of flat, that a toy car or something else can roll down. A Hot Wheels car, you can also use a ball instead of a Matchbox car. Tape measure or ruler. It's optional, but it does make it easier. So you only have 4 steps. Procedure number 1, set up the car ramp. Place the piece of cardboard on book 1. The setup will need to be on a hard surface with room after the cardboard ends for the car to travel. So you're going to be sending it down a ramp and seeing how far past the ramp it goes. Release the car, don't push it, just let it go. Measure and record the distance traveled in your data table below. Measure from the end of the ramp to where the car stopped. If you do not have a ruler, you can estimate with your Chromebook. The Chromebook has a length of about 30 centimeters. Repeat steps 1 through 3, adding 1 more book under the ramp each time until you get 5 books total. And you can see that here on our data table. So you have book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the distance traveled. We also have the X and Y variable, the independent and dependent variable up there. And then for the graph, so to create this graph, it says here in blue, double click on the graph, then use the tools above to add all the essential parts of the graph. So if you double click on this graph, it'll bring you here. Something to note, let's see. I'm just now using this on my smaller computer, and I wonder if maybe this is a little too small. Okay. If you can't see the bottom of this graph on yours, feel free to make it smaller and move it up so that you can see the bottom of the graph. So you're going to use the tools above. So you have text box tool, you have shapes to add the points, you have lines and arrows if you need it. So add whatever you need to create this graph. And then it says, for instructions on how to create a graph, click here or scroll to the last page. So if you click here, it'll bring you to the last page that has all of these graph instructions on what you need to add. So go ahead and listen to that. And then we have some conclusion questions. So one, identify the variables. So what was the independent and dependent variable? And then the control. Control is what you kept the same each trial. So every time you added a book, you changed the height, but is there anything that stayed the same? So write down at least 2 things that stayed the same. How did the height of the starting point affect the distance traveled? Describe how potential energy is converted into kinetic energy in the lab. And then edit the drawing below where potential energy is the highest and where it is the lowest. And again, you will double click on the picture to edit it. And you'll use text box to tell me where here is the highest potential, where here is the lowest potential. All right, and then we have our graph instructions down here. So that is what you are working on today. All right, and then you'll submit that when you are done. Again, use whatever resources you can. If you're thinking, oh, I don't have this, can I use this? The answer is probably yes. All right, and then gizmos. I have another gizmos here that's just an extension. It's kind of a fun one. Again, make sure that you are logged in. So it's going to be WMS:1, WMS:2, WMS:3 for the username and the password. So make sure you're logged in. And then it's the Sled Wars one. This one's actually kind of fun. I mean, not as opposed to the other ones that aren't. All of them are fun. But you can choose whether there's 1 or 2 sleds. You can show energy, not show energy. I would show energy. If there's 2, you can decide whether they stick together or if they bounce. And then you can change the weight of them, so you can make them bigger or you can make them really tiny. Press play. See what happens. And this is one of those that's just going to just keep going. So if you reset, and you can also make it higher. And you can yeet that right out of there. Awesome. So that's just a fun one talking about kinetic and potential. You can see up here, potential 66, kinetic 2. And as we move, then say we get down here, then we have no potential and 68 kinetic. Back up here, 64 and 4. So you can see how it changes. So that's a really fun gizmos that you can check out. There's nothing to write down. It's just something to explore with. And then make sure you did everything. And that's what we're doing today. Tomorrow is a Flex Friday, so we'll have a live virtual class in the morning and then advisory in the afternoon. And I think that's all I got for you. If you have any questions, let me know. And then there are office hours today from 1 to 1:30. Bye.